Hello everybody and welcome to the Top Producer Show. So my name is Brandy and this is Jeff. And the whole point of the Top Producer Show is to show you guys what it actually takes to be a top producer in your business. Now, mainly we are going to be talking about network marketing. However, all the methods that we actually use in our traditional businesses as well. So we are going over the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I see somebody just joined us on Instagram. Welcome, welcome. So we're on chapter 18 today. So advanced tactics, how to go from being merely good to being truly great. And the truth about talent and when genes matter and when they don't. So there's a couple of things with this chapter that apply and some that don't apply. And so I'm going to try to, there are some cool things that I just put in my notes just because I wanted to save them for later. So I'm going to go through these and then tell you how it works. So the secret to maximizing your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition. So habits are a lot easier to perform and more satisfying to stick with when they align with your natural abilities. So genes can provide a powerful advantage in favorable circumstances, but they can also be a disadvantage in unfavorable circumstances. So if you're going to dunk a basketball, it helps if you're 7 feet. So that's genes. But the people at the top of any competitive field are not only well trained, but they are also well suited for the task. And this is why if you want to be truly great, select the right place to focus is crucial. So we've all heard that you want to focus on your strengths, and Gary Vaynerchuk teaches this quite a bit. He's just like, you can improve in other areas, but figure out where you're strong in and improve there first and just get really, really good at it. So genes do not determine your destiny. They do determine the areas of opportunity. So sometimes it just gives you a pathway of where you need to go. And then the key is to direct your effort toward the areas that both excite you and match your natural skills and align with your ability. I'm a little iffy about just the excitement part, because the excitement does go away. So you do have to have a system, like figure out where your strengths are. You can build on those, but you need to have a system, because just doing what you like, you're not going to get anywhere, because 90% of what you have to do is stuff that you don't like doing. And now you have to learn to like the process, because the process is what's going to get you where you need to go. And then as you get results, then you grow to like the process because of the result that you're going to get. But if you just solely focus on what you like doing, you're never going to get anywhere, because all of the stuff that you need to do is hard work. So anywho, where'd I go? There we go. So in network marketing, when you're trying to find your, I already went over that. So how your personality influences your habits. So mainly from after reading this chapter, he talks a lot about how genes can affect you in sports, mainly sports. He's like, if you have a genetic makeup that gives you the upper hand, you're obviously going to do well. And even if you switch like a basketball player and a swimmer, they're going to do badly in each other's sports. And that's just because of their makeup. However, usually in network marketing, you find strengths in different personality types. So a lot of you who have jumped on to watch our stuff before, we mainly go over DISC personality profiling. And depending on people's personalities, they're better at different areas. Like some people are really good with people. So we'll put them in situations where like when we're at events, they're really great greeters. There's some people who are great at organizing, and there's some people who are really good at speaking. Anybody can be good at speaking. It's just some people have that upper hand where they're more likely to end up in different areas. But being able to identify people's strengths immediately, which is why we say when you start this business, it's really good to learn personalities and how to identify them, because then not only are you able to lead people better, but you're also able to place people differently, of being like, look, I can see where your natural talents are, and I'm not sure if you're even aware of it, but this is what your talent is, and this is what we can grow on to help you get better. And then how to find a game where the odds are in your favor. So in practice, you are more likely to enjoy the things that are going to come easily to you. So as you get better at it, it's not going to be easy at first. You're going to be very nervous, and you're going to be like, oh my God, am I doing this right? And the key is you can't be fixated on being perfect right off the bat, because it's not going to be perfect. So when we first sit down and try to show people how to text leads, it never fails. I've done this a couple of times where I've actually physically sat down with people and I'm like, look, for the next couple of hours, I'm just going to sit with you and I'm going to show you how to do this. And I'll text people with the people I'm working with. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to show you how to do it for the first few. And then once you hear it a couple of times, then I'm going to turn it over to you. And then I'm going to have you do a couple. So then once they get to that point, it is funny because everybody's always so nervous. They're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, it's okay. This is how we do it. And I go through the process with them. And then I'm like, you're just going to read your presentation to them. I make them practice it a couple of times out loud before getting on the phone. But then once they do it, I'm like, so how do you feel? They're like, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it's just getting past that part of just the nervousness. And then it's just like, oh, now that I have this process, and then we do it a few more times, and then they're like, oh, I don't need you anymore. I'm fine now. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, but it's just getting past that part. But in practice, it becomes easier and way more enjoyable, but you have to start and you have to get consistent. And then it becomes easy, and then it's a lot more fun. So people who are talented in a popular area tend to be more competent at a task, and they are praised for doing a good job. They stay energized because they are making progress where others failed, and because they get rewarded with better pay or better opportunities, which are more likely to make them produce at a higher level because they're getting all that praise. So how to pick the right habit. As discussed in the third law, you want to make it easy, which is why we have the text messaging process, because most people do not pick up the phone anymore and people respond to texts. And having it actually physically laid out makes it a lot easier for the brand new person to start, because if a confused mind does nothing. And a lot of times when people are trying to figure out how to do this, they're just like, I can't see. They're like, I know I need to go talk to people and I know I want them here, but in the middle is fuzzy of how I'm actually going to get people to the sign up. And if that's fuzzy, people aren't going to move. So having that clear plan for people really helps, because it takes away the fear and it's a direct plan of what to go out and do. Because people need specific instructions. Most people are not just going to go figure it out. There are some people who do, but most people need a plan actually laid out for them in exact instructions of how to go do this. He also talked about trial and error, and you need to go out and explore and figure it out, see what's going to work, what's not. This can take you forever. The trial and error method, if you have to do it, is fine. But if there's somebody else out there who's figured it out, you want to pick somebody who's doing well and has the things that you want, and you need to follow what they're doing exactly. There's so many people out here who are doing it. And you just need to go pick somebody and follow what they're doing, because in trial and error, if you have zero experience in this business, you'll get somewhere a lot faster. Because the other thing is if you don't want to wait too long trying to figure it out yourself and then get burnt out and then not want to do it later. So it's so much easier to find a mentor to help you than it is to try to struggle on your own. But then once you have a process, don't jump from different processes, because a lot of people try to do the trial and error of like, well, I want to try this way and I want to try this way. but they jump to the next thing before they start getting results with the first one because they get impatient. They're like, it's kind of like going to the gym on the first day and being like, I worked out, why haven't I lost weight? And it's like, well, you haven't done it consistently enough. Like it takes time. So a lot of people don't understand that there's a time frame that you have to consistently do these methods for you to get a result, because if you're not doing it long enough, regardless of what method you're using, it's not going to work regardless. So you need that. And then it basically just kind of goes more into that. There was more stuff that I wrote here, just that, just some stuff that I wanted to save just because it was good, but it doesn't necessarily apply here. However, there was one thing at the very end I really liked with this chapter. And because a lot of people blame it on luck. When somebody starts to do really, really well, they're like, oh, well, that person's just lucky. But from what he said, he's like, it's possible that a bodybuilder has better genes, but unless you've put in the same amount of reps, it is impossible for you. It's impossible to see whether or not you've been dealt a better or worse hand. So you don't know whether or not that you are incapable of doing it, because unless you do the work, you don't know where your limits are. So I really liked that part, but that's what I got out of this chapter, and I'm going to turn it over to you for your takeaways.
I mean, the same thing really that you said is the whole thing about genes. Yes, certain people are going to be better at certain things. That's just inevitable. That's the way we were made. That's how it's going to work. What I found is some people are much better at going after people, meaning the contacting part. Some people are more engaged at finding people. And some people are better at building the relationships once the people are found. Both people are going to struggle in certain areas. So saying that, what I don't like about this is saying that, well, people are just naturally gifted in a certain area and that's the only thing they should do. What that does is a lot of times it gives somebody an excuse of, oh, well, I don't need to get good at that. Or they end up spending all their time searching for some automatic automation, do it for me system. When if they just would spend the time, you don't have to get amazing at it. You just have to be good enough to find a few people every month, right? That's network marketing in a nutshell. A few people every month. Now, some people are going to be really good and be able to contact and get in front of, twice as many, 3 times as many. But in the end, there's another part to it, right? The part of building the relationship. So if you're better at building the relationships, it might take you longer in the front end to find the good people, but once you find them, you're going to succeed faster than the person who found a bunch of people but doesn't know what to do after that. So either way, it's going to take kind of a combination of a group of people. That's why it takes, typically in network marketing, that's the reason for the testimonials. That's the reason to bring somebody different in, constantly, is everybody relates to somebody else. And what you need to do is you need to hear enough stories. And, I always hated, they're like, just listen to more stories, just listen to more stories. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? What it does is it builds belief. It builds belief for the people who might not have that super outgoing, dominant personality to go out and contact a bunch of people every day. You're going to hear from people who didn't have that personality. And eventually, you're going to make the connection of, hey, it's possible. That's the first connection. It's possible. It's possible that anybody could do this. The second connection is, you're going to have to ask is, why not you? You'll eventually get to the point of, well, why can't I do this? What is holding me back? Why am I uniquely defective where this doesn't work for just people like me? Well, if you listen to enough stories, you're going to see people who have worse situations than you. They had worse upbringings. They had worse business dealings. They had worse connections. They have worse health problems. There's a saying, that I read a long time ago, or maybe I heard in an event. It says, you know, if everybody threw all their problems in a pile and you had to, you know, switch problems with somebody, you'd probably want yours back, because you have no idea what people are actually going through. It might look like sunshine on the outside, but typically once you get to the inside of the real problems that people are going through, a lot of times you want yours back. You have no idea that their issues may be worse. It just looks better from the outside. Why? Because people handle stuff differently. So those two extremes of personalities, the go-getter that goes out and is just really good at finding people, and then the relationship builder who's really good at keeping people in. And that's kind of the balance, right? Find people, bring them in, see if it's a good fit for them. It's not going to be a good fit for everybody. So one of the things you have to do is build that self-esteem part, where people are going to be okay with the fact that people come in and people leave, and people come in and people leave. Any activity that requires work has that turnover. The gym has that turnover, karate has that turnover, music has that turnover, tap dance lessons has that turnover, ballet dancing has that turnover. And I have friends or clients who are in all of those different professions. And one of the conversations that comes up is the turnover. Oh yeah, we had this many students come in, had this many people leave, so now we need this many new students. I have a friend in martial arts, and he's always talking to me about, you know, how many clients he talked to and how many people he had to bring in to get a few that get to the next stage, and then he has to bring in a whole new group of people. It never ends. That is the business model. And direct sales is like that too. And so just because you have, just because you have some background where, oh, Anita's here, hello. Just because you have a background that necessarily isn't super outgoing doesn't mean you can't go do something. It just might mean you have to do it at a slower pace to begin with. But once you do find the people, you're going to succeed on the other side. So that's kind of what I got out of the chapter. A little bit different than what the chapter says, but that's just observation from the outside looking at different businesses. But don't give yourself the excuse that you're not good on the front end, so it just can't happen for you. You know that's a lie if you've been around any amount of time, because I know people in the industry that are extremely successful. In fact, there's more introverts that are successful at the top of these companies than extroverts. That's an absolute fact.
And when I figured that out, I was just like, oh, wow. Because that was a huge excuse that I would hear from a lot of people. They're like, oh, well, I can't do that because I'm an introvert. And I'm like, well, I can name 3 of them that I know who do very well and go up and speak on stage. So if they can do it, you can do it. So with that,
that's what I got.
Would you like to tell them about the leads?
No.
No? I'm going to tell them about the leads. Is that what you want?
No, we're just going to keep going.
Oh, do you have more?
No, we're going to keep going. Just finish up.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I was asking. So, for anybody who's in network marketing and they're trying to find a process of like how to go do this, we did start a company called My Leadership Network that is helping network marketers of how do you find people, who do you talk to, and then how do you talk to them. So if that is something that you're struggling with, we do have a lead program as well. So if you are interested in that, you can go to join my slow. There we go. Now we're back. So you can go to joinmyleadershipnetwork.com. You can go subscribe. You don't have to pay anything. It's just go sign up, get some information. And are we still giving out?
That's why I said don't talk about it.
Oh, okay. So, anywho, you can go there if you would like information on that, if you were struggling with it. But each one of these videos is going to be uploaded to YouTube. So you want to go make sure that you go to the Top Producer Show and subscribe. And we are also all over social media, so you can find us there as well. So with that, we are here Monday through Friday at noon. And we will see you guys tomorrow. So thank you and have a good day.